Hello everyone, welcome back to another video from PM Problems. My name is Patrick, and if you're new to the channel, I wish you a warm welcome. At PM Problems, we focus primarily on project management and construction, but we also talk about a wide variety of workplace topics, including philosophy, problem solving, work-life balance, career paths, and a whole lot more. If these topics are of interest to you and you enjoyed today's video, please consider subscribing to the channel. Your support means everything. And for those of you that have already subscribed, thank you for being here. Your support is always appreciated. Now, let's get into today's topic. When we take a moment to observe our surroundings, we can begin to fathom just how many different types of construction exist in our modern times. The houses we live in, where we work, the roads and bridges we drive on, plus stores, parks, airports, and so on, each require a variety of skill sets and types of construction to build. With that in mind, it becomes clear that all types of contractors, both big and small alike, are needed in some way. There are just so many types of projects out there, each of which varies in size, complexity, and dollar value. And as projects get bigger and more complex, many different types of contractors must come together and work as a team in order to make the end result happen. Which brings us to the main topic of today's video, exploring two different types of contractors that exist: general contractors and subcontractors. If you work in construction management, there's a very good chance that you work for one of these already, and you will encounter both many times throughout your career. A general contractor can be defined as a contractor that takes on an entire project, which require a few or even many different types of work to be done. A subcontractor, on the other hand, is a company that specializes in one specific type of construction. Rather than taking on an entire project, subcontractors perform a single part of many different types of projects. As the name indicates, subcontractors are hired by general contractors, or GCs, to perform a portion of the entire project that the GC has taken on. General contractors hire many different types of subcontractors to work on their projects, each with a specific specialty that they bring to the table. The list shown on screen is a mere fraction of the different subcontractor types you'll come across when working on large projects. For the sake of our examples today, we'll assume that the general contractor does not hire any labor of their own. Rather, they only hire subcontractors to perform the physical work on site. Now, let's go over some of the operational differences between general contractors and subcontractors in 5 key areas of the construction process, along with the relationship between these two types of contractors. When a general contractor and their client agree to move forward with the construction project, they each sign a contract outlining the type of work that'll be done, under which terms and conditions, and the dollar value associated with this work. At that point, the GC has a direct legal obligation to their clients to complete the project and all that it entails in accordance with the terms outlined in the contract. General contractors typically provide things like bonds, insurance, proof of financial good standing, and qualifications that show the client that the general contractor is capable of and has successfully performed before similar types of projects before a contract is ever signed. Subcontractors, on the other hand, enter into contractual agreements with the general contractor, not the client. Sure, many of the terms and conditions within the general contractor's contract with their client, also known as a prime contract, carry over into the subcontract, but still, there is a separation and a hierarchy of sorts between the three parties: the client, the general contractor, and the subcontractors. For all intents and purposes, the GC is like the middleman. In exchange, subcontractors aren't required to provide the same level of insurance, bonding, proof of financial strength and size, and other major qualifications that the GC has to provide before taking on the whole project. In the next section, we'll actually back up a step. Let's talk about what happens before a project is ever awarded. When a client is looking for contractors to take on their project, they request work proposals from several general contractors in order to review prices and compare proposals before deciding who to hire. Typically, clients hire design consultants, such as architects and engineers, to draft drawings and organize project information so the general contractors can understand what the work entails and provide an accurate proposal. Only once proposals from several GCs are in hand can the client and the design consultants review each one and decide which company to hire. Subcontractors, on the other hand, don't submit a proposal to the client at all. While they reference the same drawings and documents as the general contractor does in order to understand the work and price it, subcontractors instead give their proposals to the general contractor before they even submit a bid. As a rule, General contractors want as many different subcontractor proposals as they can possibly get before they submit a bid to their client. This gives the GC plenty of information to reference, and in turn allows them to put together a more accurate, competitive proposal based on all the subcontractor proposals they receive. Subcontractors, on the other hand, want to send their proposal to as many different subcontractors bidding on the job as they can. If there are 5 GCs bidding on a project, for example, a subcontractor will want all 5 to have their proposal in hand before submitting their bids to the client. That way, it increases the chances that the GC who wins will hire that subcontractor in kind. Now, let's talk about when the project actually starts. The diagram shown on screen outlines the relationship between the client, their design consultants, the general contractor, and their subcontractors. As you can see, the subcontractors have little to no interaction with the client or their design consultants, at least not directly. Instead, the GC acts as the go-between. When a subcontractor sends in documents for design team approval, or if they have questions about the drawings, work, etc., the subcontractor must go through the GC first. In fact, many construction contracts legally require information to flow in this manner. On the other hand, the GC serves as the client's main point of contact whenever the client has questions, needs information, or is receiving a routine project update. In the client's eyes, they're only dealing with the GC directly, for all intents and purposes. Although there are occasional exceptions, this is true in the majority of cases. The trade-off in this instance is that subcontractors don't shoulder the responsibility of working with the client directly, but in turn, they aren't given direct access to the client or their design consultants without going through the GC first. Before we get into the next section, I'm pleased to announce that PM Problems now offers one-on-one virtual mentorship sessions. Whether you have career questions about project management, a situation you're facing on a project, or just want to talk about work in general, we're here for it. I offer both 30 and 60-minute virtual sessions, and if you'd like to book a call with yours truly, click the link in the description below for more information. Like we said earlier, when a general contractor agrees to take on a project, they agree to take on the entire project. This effectively means that the GC oversees every aspect of construction that's happening on site and is ultimately responsible for it. This effectively means that the GC is responsible for overseeing every aspect of work that's required to take the project from start to finish. Although the physical work is subcontracted out to other parties, the GC is the ringleader of them all and is ultimately responsible for making sure the work gets done, both legally and financially. The GC must ensure that all requirements of the project are covered, as well as to coordinate the subcontractors needed to do that. Having said that, a subcontractor should, within reason, be able to show up on site and perform their work. A subcontractor has plenty to focus on just getting their share of the work done. Not to mention, these subcontractors are typically working on several different projects at once. Because of this, subcontractors don't need to provide things like job site security, protection for the public, safe access to their work areas, storage space for materials, and temporary utilities like water and electricity, plus the all-important porta-johns. The general contractor, in turn, is expected to provide these items. The GC is also responsible for coordinating all the different phases of work that must get done. This includes coordinating all of the on-site activities of their subcontractors. GCs take a bird's-eye view approach to their projects, so they can see how all the different pieces of the puzzle fit together in this manner. This includes phasing of work on site and allowing for deliveries to the site, storage space, and other site logistics like cleanup, debris removal, etc. In most cases, GCs also obtain the necessary permits for performing all of the work required. Subcontractors play a role in the coordination process as well by providing updates and key information on their portion of the work, but it's up to the GC to make the whole show come together. Last but certainly not least, we arrive at the subject of billing and payments. One thing general contractors and subcontractors have in common is their need to collect progress payments for covering their costs and ultimately turning a profit on the work that they've done. How the two go about getting paid and the amount of time it takes, and the leverage included, is where they vary. Common construction practices involve the GC submitting an invoice to their client once per month for work completed in that time frame. In order to do this, general contractors receive invoices from their subcontractors once per month as well. The GC reviews these invoices, requests changes from the subcontractor if necessary, and compiles them into an invoice for their clients to review. Once the client approves the invoice, they're obligated to provide payment within a certain time frame, which is typically specified in the contract. For this example, let's say it's 14 days. In turn, the GC must use that money to pay their subcontractors. This payment is also due to the subcontractors within a specified time frame. Again, for this example, let's say it's 14 days. Sticking with these figures, this means that subcontractors receive payment 28 days after the client approves the general contractor's invoice, which again includes the invoices from that subcontractors for work performed in that time period, or billing cycle. With that said, it's important to note that by the time subcontractors send in their invoice, they've already done the work they're billing for. Said another way, the subcontractor has already paid for their labor crews to perform the work, along with any materials, equipment, and other expenses needed to do so. For general contractors, most of the costs they must pay are in fact the invoices from their subcontractors. And in this sense, the general contractor already has the money in hand by the time they pay their subcontractors anyway. GCs get paid by the client earlier than the subcontractors do, and they carry less work-specific financial risks than the subcontractors do as well. There is nuance to this, but for this example, let's go with it. This helps offset the other risks the GC faces, such as budget overruns, which is another way of saying not having the correct budget in place for the work that's required in certain areas of the project, along with guaranteeing to the client that the work will be done at a certain price. On the other hand, if a subcontractor doesn't get paid for work they've already done, or if the payment is significantly late, they face the risk of spending money to do the work, only to not receive payment after the fact. This is why in many cases, subcontractors ask for deposits up front from the general contractor before work even starts, even if the GC isn't able to pass these costs on to the client. In short, both general contractors and subcontractors face potential financial risk when taking on a project. It's the type of risk and how the financial aspects of the project play out that make a difference. If you're interested in learning more about cash flow on construction projects, check out the link to the PM Problems blog in the description below, where I elaborate even more on the topic of the construction billing cycle and what each step in that cycle entails. While contractors of all types share many mutual experience within the construction industry, there are some major differences between general contractors and subcontractors when it comes to legal agreements, finances, responsibilities, operations, and risks they face on the job. I hope you found the explanation of this topic helpful, and feel free to leave a comment below with your thoughts. And if you enjoyed this video, liking and sharing it with someone you think will benefit is greatly appreciated. And for more content like this, please consider subscribing to stay in touch. For articles, free downloads, mentorship, merchandise, and more, check out the links to our blog and store in the description below. Until next time, cheers.